All right, I see you already have quite some people here, so I'm going to stop share and do a quick kick off and introduction before I hand over to Emma and Janelle. So welcome to a Celebrating Great CX series with Just Eat Takeaway. Today we have Emma van Emmerik and Janelle Ward with us. We're going to do a lot more in today's session about finding harmony to deliver the best customer experience with Just Eat Takeaway. So before I'm going to hand over, just a bit of an introduction about myself. My name is Barbara. I work at Made for, a customer experience learning organization. So it's always super inspiring to have people over and share their experience of real life business context with us. Also a bit of housekeeping. If you can turn your camera on, that's always great. We'd love to see your faces. For the duration of the session, we would like you to just mute yourself. And if you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the Zoom chat. And we will make sure to do a little Q&A after the presentation. So any questions that you have or reflections that you would like to share, please put them in there and we'd be happy to go through it at the end of the presentation as well. And that's that. So Janelle and Emma, whenever you're ready, you can start sharing your screen and take it away.
Sure thing. All right, I'm going to kick us off and hopefully you all should be able to see my screen now. My name is Emma and I lead UX research at takeaway.com and here today with my team member, Janelle Ward, who leads research for our logistics product. And we're here today to talk to you about the exciting challenge of delivering great customer experiences in platform design, where there are lots of user groups, communities that participate to create value ultimately. All have their own unique needs that we as a company have to be able to make sure are met in order for them to actually participate in our platform and deliver value for our customers. So what we're going to do today is actually divide our talk into two portions. Just hearing that my doorbell was wrong, so I've missed that package delivery, but that's the world we live in right now, working from home. So the first portion of this talk, I'm gonna kick us off and then pass it off to Janelle. So we're gonna break it off into two parts. I'm gonna start and talk a little bit more about the role of UX research in enabling value creation for all users within a platform experience. And then Janelle's going to deep dive specifically into how crucial the couriers within our ecosystem are in connecting and enabling experiences within the food ordering ecosystem. So she'll go into that deep dive. So just a little bit of background. So justeattakeaway.com. We've recently joined forces takeaway.com, which is a Dutch company, and Just Eat. We've joined forces this year, so we are now justeattakeaway.com, and we're a leading global online food delivery company. And we connect tens of millions of customers with over 500,000 restaurants through both our websites and our apps. And we offer an online marketplace with operations in 24 countries. We facilitate ordering, payment, and fulfillment of orders. And we utilize a hybrid model. So we have some restaurants within our platform that have their own delivery capabilities, but we also have our own logistics capability. So this is for select restaurants that don't have their own delivery services. And this model ensures that we can offer a wide selection of restaurants on our platform so that customers have a wide selection and the best selection. Customers can order via our app, which I'm sure many of you who are listening today have done. And then we derive our revenue primarily from the commissions that we charge restaurants. So in summary, we are a platform, right? And we connect customers to restaurants. What I've included here is a fantastic book on platform design, and a couple of the concepts that I'm going to talk about next are inspired by this, but I highly recommend the book. What these authors talk about is at a platform. So many of us are used to using platforms, right? Like Airbnb and Instagram and takeaway.com. But a platform's primary purpose is to be able to match users, facilitate the exchange of goods, services, in our case, food, and enable value creation for all participating user groups. So For us at justeattakeaway.com, these core user groups are restaurants, couriers, and customers. And they interact in something that these authors call a core interaction. And for us as a business, we obviously want to ensure that there's a high volume of core interactions. So in order to do this, we have to ensure that our platform serves three main functions, right? We need to be able to pull producers, so in our case, restaurants, and consumers to our platform. Then we have to actually enable interactions between these different user groups and facilitate their interactions by providing the right technologies, tools, ways of working to match them effectively in a way that's rewarding for all. So yeah, the main users in our ecosystem are restaurants, couriers, and customers, but we'll peek under the hood and reveal many more. But each of them has their own unique motivations to participate on our platform, and they're the communities that actually make this platform possible. So, for restaurants, for example, they need to be able to manage their business and order transactions. Our couriers need a profitable and manageable workload, and to be able to reach customers and restaurants efficiently. And then our customers can be a variety of needs, of course, to be able to order food, which is out of scope for this talk, but basically, yeah, they need to be matched with the best food choice for them at the timing that's right for them at the price that they want. And so, yeah, in a platform model, we can't solely focus on the customer. We have to really ensure that we're serving the needs of all of these different user groups for them to find it valuable to participate. And we, as a platform, need to ensure that we provide the technologies that support restaurant operations, logistics operations, but also the ability for customers to be able to browse and select and purchase food. So our customer-facing app is just really one of the many tools that we as a platform provide to make this core interaction possible. So in essence, delivering great customer experience is about building a wide variety of tools and technologies that don't only end up in the customer's hands, but are used by a variety of different user groups within our ecosystem. So what do we as UX researchers do to help with this? So in simplest terms, we learn about people in order to build great products, to make sure that we can actually satisfy the needs of everybody participating in our platform, and that we build technologies that are desirable and usable. And when do we do this, right? We work at multiple points along the product development process. It's always best if we're involved as early as possible, but we work from identifying problems to actually being able to evaluate and hopefully validate the right design solutions to be able to meet the different needs of our user groups. We work in an embedded partnership. So we're not a service agent model, but we really work within our product teams. So we're organized in product verticals that are organized primarily based around sort of user groups. So Janelle leads research for our logistics product team, but we also have a restaurant vertical and a consumer vertical, among a few others. And our researchers are embedded within those product teams. And the reason we do this is because our technologies are so complex and there's so many teams working on bringing these products to life that it's really important that our researchers are able to develop domain expertise and have knowledge of certain technologies, but also that they have those relationships and there's continuity in those relationships. That can also come with challenges though, because as embedded researchers, we can also run the risk that our insights can become very fragmented, right? So we can work on optimizing a certain part of the core interaction and then kind of inadvertently potentially cause problems somewhere else. So it's really important that we're coming back to home base when we're doing our projects and reconciling our insights. It could be that we embark on research that's focused around the courier, where we learn a lot about restaurants along the way. Could be that we embark on a customer project and learn a lot about couriers along the way. So it's really important that we're reconciling insights, tackling projects together, and also making sure that teams that are working on the same part of the core interaction, who may not be working together yet, are also starting to do that they're unified by the same challenges. So there's a lot of logistics, no pun intended here, with our platform design. So there's a high risk for friction, but a lot of opportunities for delight as well too. And we as researchers are there to champion the individual needs, but also the interactions between our user groups. So with this, I'm going to turn it over to Janelle because she's going to dive a little bit more into the courier experience, which is a really important bridge between our customers and our restaurants, but also give a peek under the hood as to how many user groups also make the courier experience possible. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Janelle.
All right, thanks a lot, Emma, for that great introduction to this very complex environment. You can go to the next slide, please. So hi, everyone. So today I'm going to cover 3 points, and all of these points serve to answer the question, what can the courier experience teach us? So I've been at Takeaway since April, and I've really been able to dive into the space since then, and I'm really excited to share some of my insights so far. So I'm going to start by talking about my approach to being a user advocate. I think you can go to the next slide too. There you go. Yeah, thanks. This meant being a user advocate meant actually becoming a courier. And then I want to dive into the details of what becoming a courier has already taught me in my short time at Takeaway. So I'm going to discuss how the courier experience reveals the complexity of delivery logistics. Emma alluded to that. And then second, I'm going to talk about the ways that it's showed us how we can enhance our cross-vertical knowledge and collaboration. So you can go to the next slide. So let me first talk about being a user advocate and then the immersive user experience. So as user researchers, we always think about the company in terms of user groups. And as a researcher, my whole career has been about trying to find the best way to advocate for someone else's reality. So in the context of my role here, since my responsibility is understanding the courier experience, I decided to become a courier. So I hopped on a bike and learned how to do the job. And I learned a lot of interesting things like how heavy that bag actually is, or how to navigate when there's unexpected construction, or how stressful it can be to not be able to find a particular apartment. But I'm not going to just share tips about how to deliver food, but being a courier and my interactions with other couriers so far has really taught me some valuable lessons about the role and how we can enact our research in the company. Okay, you can go to the next slide. Okay, so first there's the lesson about the complexity of delivery logistics. So what I mean here is that the courier experience has really illuminated how many user groups play a role in making food delivery happen. And in other words, how many user groups are actually a part of the logistics vertical where I lead research at Takeaway. So I did first focus on the couriers, but it turns out that was really just a surface understanding of the vertical. So one thing I like to do when I start a new role is talk to all the product owners or product managers to learn about the products and the users of these products from their perspective. Now, this diagram here shows the process basically that runs from before to after a courier shift. And all the users I'm about to mention play a very important role in this process. So just to give you, like Emma described it, a little peek under the hood of what goes on in logistics. So we have forecasters as users, and those are people who take market-driven events to create order forecasts and courier demand forecasts. And then we have shift planning users, and those individuals are people who are in charge of planning shifts, who take into account availability of the couriers in order to produce the shifts. And then we can move into the actual shift, the part that's on the road for the couriers. There we have live operations, and those are the users, all the users that are involved in live ops during the shift. So we have dispatchers and hub coordinators and courier captains. They help, their work is related to both food orders and also courier issues that arise on the job. Like, for example, if someone's bike breaks down. Then we have the couriers, which is our largest user group, and that's the group that the whole logistics vertical is really working to support. And finally, we also have HR related users who handle everything from onboarding new couriers to payroll. So it's really a complex space. And in those interviews I mentioned with the POs, I took a lot of notes and I studied diagrams and I learned a lot. But it was really when I went to the hub and started talking to couriers and actually going out on the road and doing my own orders that I really saw how all these user groups actually interact to enable that courier experience. So I learned, for example, that some of these user groups are really invisible to the couriers. Like, they weren't really clear about the work that went on behind the scenes forecasting the shifts. But they did have a very intimate and collaborative relationship with live ops. So this is like a super collaborative example of a relationship that the couriers are are aware of. So the logistics vertical is really structured around products and users that enable the courier shift, but we still need to dive deeper to see how these users interact in the course of a shift, and those interactions, especially that take place outside of technology. So this is, for me, really why user research is so essential, because it gives me a totally different perspective. So those interviews I did with the POs were 100% worthwhile and essential. They are some of our key stakeholders as researchers, but spending this time with couriers really let me see the complexity of delivery logistics and really how it works as an ecosystem. Okay, you can go to the next slide, please. So finally, there's a lesson about how deep understanding of the courier experience can also enhance our cross-vertical knowledge and collaboration. So my last point was really all about the internal workings of the logistics vertical, but now I'm talking about the space across our verticals, how logistics, restaurant, and consumer verticals overlap and intersect. And my conclusion so far is that couriers really are the connective tissue of our business. I realized this when I thought my daily work is really sitting at home behind my laptop. I see no restaurants. I see no customers. Sometimes I see couriers out my window, but the scuba couriers, they see both all day long. They're the link between those two pillars of our business. They visit a restaurant followed by a customer, and a restaurant followed by a customer throughout their whole shift. They know things that none of us would necessarily see unless we're doing their job or we're shadowing them. So they know which restaurants are friendly to couriers and which are less so. They know which customers order every day and which ones want everything without onions. And they really know their experience, and their experience is essentially cross-vertical. So last slide, please, Emma. So just to conclude my part of this talk, I want to come back to the slide that Emma presented earlier. So here we have, again, the three verticals. So let's think about this, the courier experience from the restaurant perspective. So we want to work to improve our technology to ensure we can accurately predict courier arrival and sync with food prep. But we also know from the courier experience that they're trained to alert restaurant staff that they've arrived and whose order they're waiting for. So we know that couriers are making that effort to close communication gaps, and that's something that isn't visible on any app. And from the courier perspective itself, yeah, if they can't find the customer, the food will lose its quality. So what does that process look for the couriers? When we know the pain points that are visible between couriers and live ops, we can really improve the courier experience, which makes both the restaurant and the customer happy. And then finally, the customer. So here on the slide, we see an example, Delight, leaving a 5-star rating when they get their food delivered on time. But maybe that rating is also related to the fact that the courier delivered it with a smile and a confirmation that the meal was indeed vegan as requested. So my insights so far have really only strengthened my resolve to better understand this courier experience and how they interact with every user group essential to our company. And it's also really made me realize how large the ecosystem is that we're operating in. And like this slide says, we really can't solve our user needs in isolation. And we need to acknowledge the context, not just the technology, to design around these interactions. So thanks a lot for your time, everybody.
Let's do a round indeed of silent clap or a little emoji. Thank you so much, Janelle and Emma. That was very insightful. Really awesome also to see, Janelle, that you really put it into practice yourself and experienced how it was. Thanks for sharing that. I had a quick peek at the chat. Oh, I see Clara submitted one question. So let's dive into it. And also for the rest that are attending today, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat and we will take our time to go through it. Also, you can, of course, raise your hand and you can unmute yourself and ask the question then. But let's start with Clara's question first. So Clara asked, how do you go about integrating the insights of the three verticals to make decisions across all user needs and prioritize them?
Yeah, I can take this one. We don't just obviously have our product verticals, we have so many other stakeholders that bring these experiences alive, right? So we have marketing, we have customers. Customer service is a huge stakeholder in this as well too. So generally for all all research projects that we do, we end with some recommendations or principles or opportunities, really depends on the type of work. But more and more, we're trying to structure those insights to speak to particular stakeholders, right? So are there recommendations that can speak specifically to customer service, to a specific product vertical? Are these restaurant specific recommendations? Are they customer specific recommendations? But that's only made possible by researchers also really collaborating with each other. So we're seeing more and more that we can pull in, if there's a customer facing project that finds implications about restaurants, let's make sure that we pull in a restaurant researcher and frame these recommendations in a way that's also really going to land well with restaurant stakeholders. So it's a lot of, that's why I was saying as well too, that those relationships inside our organization are so important, and why it's really valuable for our researchers to really be embedded within the teams to be able to develop those relationships, right? So Janelle works really closely with a lot of different stakeholders within logistics. That's not only product owners, managers, directors, but also from our whole global operations teams as well. And so that's really important, is can't understate the importance of those internal relationships. And then, yeah, prioritization. I mean, in the end, we're also trying to help to make sure that all of these verticals are not prioritizing one need at the cost of another user group's need. And that's really making sure that they have insights into understanding the same experience and are unified by those particular challenges. So by solving a customer pain point, you can also be solving a restaurant pain point, for example.
And I can add just one thing to this. I think it's definitely customized based on the project and the topic, but I think Emma's role is so essential here, because Emma is really championing these three verticals, working together and communicating and sharing their findings and discussing where we can actually find these synergies together. And I think it could be so easy in a really fast growing org to have research teams become siloed and really focusing just on their particular area. I mean, I know it is a huge area that I'm responsible for, and it is a lot to be always connecting with my fellow researchers and working on that, but Emma really champions that and makes sure that we stay close. And it's just really valuable to see how we can connect across the organization and really make an even bigger impact.
I see Clara nodding. Okay, awesome. Really, thank you for that answer. Very insightful. Another big question I see here from Peter Paul. Let's go through it as well.
Hey, Peter Paul.
With customers ordering food through several platforms, the experience for restaurant owners must be pretty complex. Think multiple iPads behind the counter for multiple platforms. How do you envision improving that experience? Let's start with that one first.
Yeah, that's a great question. I wish I had another team member in this call to also answer that. We have a lead researcher for restaurant that's actually busy with these around this particular challenge as well. But like, yeah, the amount of products that restaurants are using, not only right for takeaway, but for other food ordering services is massive. And so consolidation and trying to figure out how do we provide one sort of simple overview, and also accessibility, like how can you access those products from anywhere as well and not be stuck to one sort of archaic device, because that's another issue that we run into as well, is not really understanding what version of the product does someone have. If we push updates, have they updated their platform? So really that kind of consolidation and simplification to understand how that fits into all of the different things that a restaurant is doing. What we've really missed over the last year is like really being in the restaurants. We've been able to get pretty creative in you know, being able to be remote and looking into restaurants that way, but still being able to observe a day-to-day operation within the restaurants. We're really looking forward to being able to do that more in the coming months. We've had some great restaurant owners that have really brought us in via camera, but it's really important that we're also keeping the distance and safety from our partners. But yeah, it's a really good, it is a significant challenge.
Great, thank you so much. I see, let's go to Heather's question first, maybe before diving into another question from Peter Paul. So this question is for Janelle from Heather. How long did you try out the role of delivery driver in order to get a good understanding of the pain points? Do you intend to do it again once some of the changes from your insights have been deployed?
Yeah, I can answer that. I'm still driving. I live in Leiden in the Netherlands, and I go there every Tuesday afternoon, and I hang out at the hub and I talk to the courier captains and whatever couriers come through there. And sometimes it's too slow because Tuesday afternoon isn't really the peak time. But when there's a chance, I go out and I ride my bike around the city and do the orders. So I intend to continue that. Indefinitely. Actually, I think it's already been an incredibly valuable experience, and it's really like yeah, it's like you kind of learn the theory when you're behind your laptop, and then you go into the hub and you go out onto the road and you see it all in practice. So for me, it's just been a great experience, and I intend to keep doing it. And yeah, it'll be even more exciting when our insights are sort of making their way into the product and the experience of the couriers.
And you said as well that on the Tuesday, sometimes it might not be as busy, so you won't be too much on the road yourself. But I can imagine that having that reflection with then fellow careers at the hub is also super valuable to have that time to go over it.
Just talk to them and see them in action and ask them questions about what they're doing. Yeah, it's been really nice.
Exactly. Awesome. All right. Another question from Clara. I see. What percentage of staff in your organization is devoted to user research?
Well, that's a good question that I wish I had the answer to. I'll tell you how big our team is, but I don't know what percentage. I have to do that calculation quickly, but I'll tell you a bit how we are organized. So we're embedded within product and tech. We're part of the product organization, and within that, we're part of user experience, which is comprised of user research, product design, and copywriting. We actually didn't specialize as UX research until last summer, so we are a fairly new discipline, but we've grown really quickly. We about tripled in size, and we're continuing to hire on our team as well too. But of course, trying to deliver insights along the way. So we have little research squads that are embedded within different product verticals, and we also have research operations, which is so important if you're scaling your research and doing research in a global organization. So I help to set up our tooling, ways of working, GDPR compliancy things. So we have a couple of research operations team members as well too, but there's a huge appetite for research, and which is really exciting, but we've also had to set expectations of, okay, what is user research? When, with the resources that we have, what types of projects makes the most impact? So we've had to develop different prioritization frameworks for how we pick up particular projects and set expectations for that. And also partner with different insights functions across the organization to be like, okay, is this marketing insights? Is this user research? Where is this better use for data analytics? And when are there things that we don't need research for? We need to make a decision and can evaluate later. So all kind of, I think, common challenges that most research teams face. But I think what's really important is that because we are embedded, we also take a very sort of vertical approach to how we do research too, because those asks have to be prioritized in different ways. Maybe I can just jump on the next question, which I think is also from Clara, if we have time. Just one last question, the artifacts.
Yes.
To convene around the tensions of different verticals and align all stakeholders. Honestly, I mean, our mode of apparatus is most of our insights are presented in decks and presentations, but it's really the relationship building that's important when it comes to addressing any types of tensions. It's not as much tension as it is trying to get people to see the same challenge when they have different priorities. So I'll give you an example. Like there was a project that we did recently within logistics that had really great restaurant learnings, and our main researcher on that project within logistics connected with our restaurant researcher to say, hey, can we host a session together with your stakeholders so we can share these restaurant needs in a way that really can bring our teams together, but is not seen as sort of this is what you should be doing about restaurant, a sort of foreigner within the company. So that's really important. I think with large organizations, that's always sort of an understated importance, is the relationships that you're building. I'm not sure if we have any more time, but I can answer Peter Paul's question later.
I see that he's doing a thumbs up. I want to respect also everyone's time and thank everyone for joining in today. So I will ask you then if you maybe can take a couple of minutes to answer that question, and we will make sure that all of the attendees today receive the answer either in their inbox or on the event page. So big thank you to you both, Emma and Janelle, for providing some awesome insights. It was really nice to hear all about the 3 verticals and the different user groups, and also hear, of course, about Janelle's awesome experience of being a courier herself. Last thing that I would like to do is to launch a really quick poll to hear about your experience of today for people attending here.
Whoop, whoop. I just figured I could just unmute myself, right?
Yeah.
It's not
Really-
even rude.
really
Thanks for the talk. Great.
Thanks for joining.
All right. And
Thanks,
thanks so much,
everybody.
everyone, and have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.